It feels kinda weird to say that I've played Hollow Knight Silksong and that the full game is about to release in just a few days. After all, the release date became a running gag among fans of the original game. Silksong was first announced back in 2019 as DLC for Hollow Knight. However, exceeding initial ambitions, the developers announced that they'd make a full-blown successor out of this idea of controlling the boss character Hornet. Before years of radio silence, with fans left disappointed every time another indie showcase came and went without Silksong. Now that it's reappeared, Silksong has even become the showcase title for a new hardware launch, since Microsoft is using the game to demonstrate their new PC handheld, the ROG Xbox Ally. So if you're a Hollow Knight diehard, the stakes couldn't be higher. With the launch just days away and coming almost out of nowhere, I'll share my thoughts on two areas I've got to play, just in case you need a little reassurance. Both the intro and one level a bit deeper into the labyrinth were available, where I already had a couple of extra moves unlocked. To be blunt, there really isn't anything sensational to report here. I replayed multiple hours of the original title in preparation, and playing Silksong felt like I never laid down my controller. It's a very faithful sequel. So it's really the small things that stuck out. I guess that's one thing that caught me by surprise actually. The character of Hornet was a more agile boss character in the first game than the protagonist, and her agility is often in the focus of gameplay trailers. But it might actually take a while to fully unlock these new moves. Of course, that's the deal with Metroidvania games. You start out weak, but eventually unlock all sorts of acrobatics and attacks to conquer previously unreachable places within a giant maze. Still, I thought that maybe this might be more akin to a ninja side-scroller from the get-go. The movement controls are still very responsive and smooth, but you practically start out with almost the exact same limited moveset as in the original. One difference being that Hornet can latch grab, but that really doesn't alter the moment-to-moment gameplay. In the second area, there already was the mid-air dash unlocked, which is similar to the first game, but slightly different in feel, because the falling curve is steeper. Also, the downward thrust is now diagonal and adds a little thrust to it. She could also shoot a lance, which bounced back and felt like the equivalent of the early laser shot from the first game. Again, small changes, and both the boss battles in the demo and one room with a large enemy wave had to be approached pretty much like in the first game. In the original, because of the main character's short reach, combat was more tactical with lots of retreating, which made for some intense duels. Silksong during these early parts felt pretty much the same. I thought I could be more aggressive due to Hornet's bigger focus on agility, but no. You still absolutely need to retreat and wait for openings to get one or two landings in. One bigger difference, and I might not have fully figured this out yet, is the healing. It seemed unlike the original, where you can replenish a small dose of HP once a single mask icon in the corner of the screen fills up. Here, apparently you need to fill up multiple first to heal a full load. Besides that, it shouldn't be surprising that graphics-wise, Silksong continues where Hollow Knight left off. Not only because it was originally planned as DLC, but also because its hand-drawn art style already looked as good as any side-scroller can hope for. The first area, which starts in a forest, was a bit more colorful and lush than usual, and apparently the game takes place before the great downfall of this world's kingdom in the old title. But don't worry, this is still the same gloomy Hollow Knight. The second area, which was some sort of steel manufacturing hellscape, was as bleak as usual and also as dark as usual because I didn't yet have the lantern item. One area where this game has evolved more noticeably might be the sound. Hollow Knight was known for its melancholic music, but this time there seems to be an extra focus on ambient sound. Within this factory area you can hear rusty walls creaking, the lava simmering, wind blowing through the halls, and so on. In some rooms there are chimes that will give off sounds if you run through them too, alongside multiple other details tied into the music. Well, maybe I made the mistake take of not playing the original with headphones, but I don't remember that game going this heavily into ambient noise, but I'm not complaining. Either way, if it wasn't clear from the trailer, in the big picture this game might not be some crazy departure or a gigantic leap forward. If that's the case, it's going to be interesting seeing how people react. Recently, many PS4 and Switch era sequels, which took 4 to 6 years to make, were lambasted for playing it too safe. In the case of Hollow Knight, however, that might not be too much of a problem. Hollow Knight managed to bring back some of the allure of the original Metroid formula and of exploring a big cave. If Silksong stays true to its roots, it might even be more refreshing than in 2017. Because one of my main gripes with some of these PS5 era sequels isn't just that they're too similar, but that often their only innovation was an increase in handholding. There were a few exceptions recently, like Elden Ring or Dragon's Dogma and Silent Hill 2, but too many other mainstream titles introduced the same glowing breadcrumbs or meticulous GPS markers. Hollow Knight back in the day did the opposite, by doubling down on leading you into uncharted terrain, so it actually got better over time if you ask me, which also means they don't need to reinvent the wheel just for the sake of it.